everyone, and welcome. This is Embracing Your Essence on Lilydale Radio, and I am Colleen Vanderzijden, and I am going to be talking tonight about how there is nothing wrong with you. That is going to be our topic today. But before we get started, as you're joining in, do say hello, give me your name, give me a heart, whatever, so I know people are out there watching, because you never know with technology. We definitely want to make sure we know what's going on all the time. So as I said, I'm Colleen Vanderzijden, and I am a registered medium and a certified intuitive life coach. And as a life coach, I help people create the dreams of their lives, especially. And as we do that, so every week on this show, I do a various topic. And so tonight's topic, and I'm just going to go over it just very briefly, and then I'll do some details of things I need to talk about. We're going to talk about there's nothing wrong with you. And you know how sometimes we think that it's our fault that we can't be happier, we can't change our lives, or maybe we blame ourselves for everything that goes wrong. So tonight we're going to talk about how those are false beliefs. And we are actually going to give you a couple of suggestions to help you rediscover and express your soul's truth so that you can claim the awesome version of who you already are. So you're already good. So there's nothing wrong with you, but we are going to talk about strengthening that as I'm closing out some weird things popping up on my screen here. So thank you for joining me. Let's see who we've got here tonight. Hi, Kylie and Nicole and Denise. Nice to see you, Denise. And hold on, my thing is moving all over the place. Ashley and Christine. Hi, Christine. How's it going? So we are, as I said, going to be talking about there's nothing's wrong with you. But before I get to that, let's do some details. LilydaleAssembly.org. You can find out everything that is happening here in Lilydale. Lilydale Assembly Incorporated is the official page on Facebook, and you do want to make sure you're following Lilydale, of course. And my official page is Colleen Vanderzijden, medium and intuitive life coach. And be sure that you are following me there as well. I just posted today the cover of my book, which will be out in a few weeks, or maybe sooner. I'm not really sure yet, but it will be out very soon. At the cover of my book, and my book is called Courageously You: Magical Mind Games to Get Unstuck and Reignite Your Joy. You know how we get stuck sometimes in things, feelings, beliefs, all that? This book is basically a guidebook to help you get out of that so you can be happier. So that will be out soon. So I posted that there. So make sure you do like my page so you can follow all the details of things. My website is ColleenVanderzijden.com, or psychicmediumcolleen.com is a quick link if you want to get there. So as you're all joining me in here tonight, as I said, we are going to be doing that. But one more announcement so I don't forget. Tomorrow morning, I am going to be on Willa White's show, Wednesdays with Willa. And we are going to be talking about how to say no. You know how much I love teaching and everything like that. We're going to have a great conversation, Willa and I. The last time I was on her show, we had so much fun. So join us tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Thank you, Diane. I think my book cover looks awesome as well. It took a long time to get to that version, but I really like it. So tonight, this is how this all came about, talking about there's nothing wrong with you. Every week when I'm coming up with a topic for the show, I ask Spirit what is most needed. You know, what is most important for you? What do you need to hear? And you know how much I like to teach and give you suggestions as to how to have your happiest life, or something, strategies to reframe your perspective so that you can handle negative situations and all of that. This week, what I heard and felt was, let's not work, which means let's not work trying to make something better. I didn't want to give you strategies or suggestions to change challenging circumstances. It just didn't feel right. And instead, the guidance I got was to tell you that there's nothing wrong with you. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about your soul's truth. We're going to talk a little bit about the self-help field and how that may have contributed to you feeling not good enough. So we're going to talk about all sorts of things. And at the end, of course, I will give you a couple of suggestions to help you strengthen the connection to your soul so you can start to really believe that you are perfect just the way you are, that there is nothing wrong with you. So I'm going to give you a couple of things at the end that you can use to strengthen. So we have talked about on this show so many different things because you know I love this stuff, love teaching. So we have talked about the inner critic that goes on and on, pointing out your failures. We've talked about human conditioning and how from a very young age you picked up unaware beliefs and they became ingrained within you, telling you you're not good enough. And this is partially why you feel like there's something wrong with you. In your struggle to belong and fit in, you learn to defer to other people, to keep other people happy by doing what they wanted you to do. You may have felt judged by others. So if you felt that, you might have become self-critical. Maybe you became a perfectionist or a chronic worrier or a people pleaser or a control freak. Now, the self-help movement, if you will, has taken off, right? You know, you go to any bookstore, you can see all these books, many, many, many books that have to do with self-help, self-improvement, self-growth. There are many people teaching ideas to help you improve and grow as a person. And that's what I do. I love doing that. And my passion is to help you become the best version of you. Unfortunately, this field may have contributed to us feeling that we're not good enough. And I know some of you are going, really? Why? What? I know, right? It sounds like I'm dissing my own field, right? But the message that goes with self-help, self-improvement, self-growth may have been mutated. Self-help sounds like there's something wrong with us, doesn't it? We've got to help ourselves, we got to keep going, right? That we need to somehow fix ourselves. And that there's always something wrong that we need to be working on. And I started when this thought came into my head from Spirit, and I started to really think about this and wonder about this. Like, what is the true message then? What is the true message? And how could the self-help field be hindering us from really achieving the goal? And here's the true message. The true message is that there's nothing wrong with you. That at your soul level, you are already perfect. You already have the best version of yourself within yourself. You already have this. And you may have heard the phrases that we have been created in God's likeness, or that we are the God energy. You may have also heard that God only creates perfection, and if God created you, then you are perfect. Now, I know if you're anything like me, the first time I heard those phrases, I was like, yeah, whatever. Like, whatever. Yeah, okay, sure. Because I didn't really believe that I was like the God energy or the divine energy at that time when I first heard that phrase. But I did find it interesting to think that if God only creates perfection and I was created by God, then I am perfect. That made me, start to think about this. And when I first heard those phrases, it was a few years ago now, of course, it kind of opened a doorway for me. So whether you believe in a God or not, or you believe in universal energy or the divine energy or a life force, whatever it is, you probably do understand that there's an all-encompassing energy that is out there within us, all around us, within everything around us as well. And that energy is positive, light, and loving, kindness, all of those things. So in your soul, you are this energy, right? You are this energy. You are the universal divine energy of love and light. And if that's true, and it is, then it doesn't need any improvement or help. So many self-improvement ideas are to help you learn who you truly are. And that involves, and here's where the disconnect sometimes happens. Sometimes we don't pick up on this part. What this involves, learning who we truly are, which is who we are at the soul level, it involves releasing or transforming anything that is blocking the expression of your soul. Okay, we want to release or transform anything that's blocking the expression of your soul. It's not fixing who we are. It's helping us reveal who we truly are, so we can then live our lives from the truth of our soul. Isn't that deep? That's pretty deep. So if we use the self-help messages from an empowering perspective, we peel back the layers that have suppressed us, that have limited us. They've limited who we believe we are and how we can live, which ultimately is blocking the joyful life that we deserve. So these layers have all come about from your conditioning that we've talked about in the past, from that inner critic, from trying to fit in and belong. These have all kind of piled on top of our soul, if you will, which has caused a disconnect in our minds and our hearts and our brains and our souls. We're not really quite there yet. So we do want to, yes, peel away those layers. For people who are on the self-discovery path, the true message isn't always clearly conveyed. Okay, sometimes pieces are missing. We might hear, one comment, thoughts are things or something, and then we take it and we run with it. There are lots of self-help examples I could give you and show you how we may misinterpret it and go down the wrong path. Okay. So sometimes it's not clearly conveyed, or we might just be misinterpreting something. So we miss the point, right? So we miss the point. We're playing with self-help ideas and then they don't really work. And so in that failure, then the idea that we're not good enough is again perpetuated. When the book The Secret came out, do you remember that? The Secret, it was a really big book, big hit. Everybody had it. Everybody was talking about it. Well, I saw this in The Secret. So the law of attraction went more mainstream, which is wonderful, okay? And what happened to those, that people were disappointed that what they thought about, the dreams and goals they had, they would think about it, but it didn't happen. They thought if they wished for the $1 million or the perfect relationship or the perfect job, it would just magically come to them without any effort on their part. And when it didn't happen that way, they dismissed the idea as woo-woo, right? You've heard that phrase, I'm sure. Woo-woo, or it was stupid, or it just doesn't work. They might have even turned it back on themselves. So then they blamed themselves for not being good enough to get what they wanted, right? It just became another cycle. I got the book, I read the book, I wrote out that check to myself for $100,000, and it didn't come to me. Well, they didn't know that they had all these other layers on top of themselves. They didn't know they were there. So they started blaming themselves that it didn't work. Or maybe they felt guilty because they said, well, I had those other thoughts that said, it's not going to work. It's never going to happen. You don't deserve it. They didn't understand about those layers of false beliefs within themselves that were inhibiting the law of attraction. They didn't get it. So what the law of attraction is really saying, to really spell it out here, is that because your soul is the universal energy of love and light, your soul is that, and this same energy is in everything and everyone, including those things you want or how you want to feel, everything. So the law of attraction is that when you tap into your soul's power, you're connected to the energy of limitless abundance. So what we're talking about tonight is recognizing this, that your soul is this, the universal energy that is connected to limitless abundance. We're talking about how we have these layers that we don't even know we had, right? We didn't know they were there. They were actually blocking our manifestation abilities, and we didn't know it. Okay, we didn't know it. So tonight we want to talk about that so we can start to open our eyes up to different perspectives, to recognizing who we really are at the soul level. Because once we do this, we start to truly believe there's nothing wrong with us and that we can live the life we want to live. And I'm just going to check some of the comments because I have been chatting away and haven't checked in with you guys. As always, feel free to write comments, ask questions. You know me, if you've watched before, you know I will go off on a tangent in a second's notice and give you some personal advice if something happens and pops up here. So hello, everybody. I do want to thank you again for joining me. I love when you're here. I know The Secret was a great book, wasn't it? It really was. So the message here, besides that limitless abundance within you, is that you are limitless. You are limitless. You have the power. You already have it within you to create how you experience life. One of our limiting layers is the false belief that we feel like we can't change our lives. We feel helpless and hopeless. Have you been there? Have you ever felt like, oh, I can't change it. No matter what I do, it doesn't make any difference. So when we say, I can't change my life, I can't do what I want to do, we're right away, the word can't takes us out of our power immediately. And the soul, if there's soul, I'm going to make the soul be in another person right now. The soul would be like, what are you doing, girl? Stop that right now. Stop that. You actually have it. It's right here. You just forgot about it. You don't remember. It's been buried under these layers. But if you can embrace this idea that you are limitless and have the power to create the life you love, what will happen just by the simple belief, even if you only believe it a teeny bit, that simple believing, what's going to happen is those limiting layers of false beliefs will be revealed. And then you can transform or release them. They will come up. You'll understand that it's a false belief blocking you. Remember, and I talked about this when I talked about the inner critic a couple weeks ago, Remember, your inner critic will love to pop right up there and say, well, that's not true. That can't possibly be true. Okay. So you've got to be aware that that might happen. But when the inner critic pops up, that's telling you that probably what thought you're trying to get rid of or transform, release is probably something you really do need to let go of. Okay. What'll happen with this as you start to see these beliefs that aren't serving you, that they're false, they're not true. As you see this, you'll recognize it. You'll start to believe it. There are so many different ways to let go of these beliefs that keep you stuck. And the first and most important one is just decide to do whatever you need to do to release anything that's holding you back. It's a simple decision, right? Because so many of us do want to live as the true expression of our soul, don't we? We do, because we understand that when we're living as the true expression of our soul, we're connected to the divine energy. We do know at that level that that's who we truly are. We just have to kind of make that perspective a little bit bigger to overbalance the voice of the inner critic or some of those old programming habits and beliefs that have been blocking you. So there's lots of things. So you've got to decide to do this. When you don't have to, but for my purpose tonight, it'd be nice. So when you decide to live from the soul's light, what can happen, and this can be very exciting actually, is that it almost becomes like a calling, that it's something you have to do to live in authenticity. Years ago, when I woke up from my stupor of people-pleasing, self-critical nature and stuff and realized I was more than I thought I was. I didn't know who it was yet. But when I woke up to the feeling, the understanding that I had no idea who I was, it became a calling for me to find out who I truly was. And over the last 20 years, I've been playing with all these ideas, and hence that's where my book comes from, my Courageously You book. The strategies, the magical mind games in a book are all of these games that I've played with over 20 years and have taught to coaching people. I've taught to you guys on these shows. I've talked about on TV shows. I've talked about on a podcast. I've talked about everywhere, because these ideas give you a shortcut so that you can get to your soul's truth. So this became a calling for me. When I started out looking for myself, trying to figure out who I was, I had no idea. I was trying to figure out who I was at the soul level. I didn't know that. All I knew is I needed to be who I really was, and I didn't know who it was. Now, 20 years later, I can go, oh my goodness, I was searching for my soul and I didn't even know it. And as I played with all these ideas, these thoughts, and these strategies, because it was a calling for me, my life totally changed and everything became more meaningful, more joyful. When you have this feeling, this calling, it's this intense, not in a bad way, it's a good way, this intense desire to really be yourself. Now, I read a great quote in a book the other day, and the book was called Jesus, Teacher, and Healer, and it comes from White Eagle's teachings. A friend of mine gave it to me a little bit ago, and I just happened to flip it open 4 days ago, and I was like, this is a great quote. And it says, all of life's experiences are to eliminate darkness, to bring light into the whole being. Within you is the God power. And it is the development of your soul which is the purpose of your life and will make you perfectly whole. Now, isn't that interesting? That the development of your soul is the purpose of your life. So many times when we think about the purpose, we're like, oh, what should I be doing? How should I be helping other people? And yes, that is a part of your purpose, okay? But the development of your soul is your purpose. So you reclaim who you really are, who you truly are at your soul level. When you're perfectly whole, as is mentioned in this quote, what's happening is you're living from your soul's light. And if you're living from your soul's light, nothing is wrong with you, and nothing has ever been wrong with you. You've been living in a lie where people have told you there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. Because I'm a how-to person, and you know that, I am going to give you a couple of simple action steps to help you strengthen that soul connection. I really want you to consider this idea that you can strengthen this, that you can live from your soul's truth. What do you think about that? Do you have some resistance to that? If you do, make a little comment and I'll give you a little comment back. But anyway, sometimes we get a little bit of resistance to that, thinking, well, we can't do that. It's too hard. It's impossible. I don't know how. You do know how because I'm going to tell you how. And also, you have it in your soul. Your soul will guide you. Candace is saying, hi, not so easy to find out what true calling is, but I know it's there. Yeah, your true calling really is being you, the best version of you you can possibly be. And you already have it inside you because it's your soul. So here's two things I'm going to tell you, just two things, and they're so simple, so simple. So the first one, think about what it means, what the soul means to you. What does the soul mean to you? Think about this. If you were to live as the true expression of your soul, what does that look like? So just think about that. What does it look like if you're living from the true expression of your soul? This is not an opportunity to criticize yourself, say you don't know nothing. Okay, this is curiosity. We're exploring ideas. For me, when I think of living from the light of my soul, being my soul's energy, living from that truth, I do think of the love and the light. Okay, I'm in the metaphysical field. That's just the way it is. I do think of love and light. I also think of positive energies. I also think of feeling connected to the universe or the divine, being in the flow of that divine energy. So when I think of living in my soul's energy, I think of being in the divine energy, the flow of it. When I feel like I'm in that, I also get this feeling of knowingness. Like I can feel the truth in situations or circumstances. I might be able to see the purpose or the reason behind something. I might be able to see the opportunity for my growth. So I know things when I'm living from my soul's light. I feel confident in that because I'm trusting and believing in myself, right? Okay. I'm looking to see what y'all are writing, and then I'm going to continue on with my comment. Just wow. Nicole is saying, oh, it's moved on me. Was just told I am different. You know what, Nicole? We want to be different, right? We want to be different. We don't want to be normal, whatever normal is. No way. No way. We definitely want to live on our own. Ashley's saying, I feel like I was on the right path, and lately I feel like I've taken 3 steps backwards. I'm trying to get back to that place where I felt I was enough. Now, that's a great point, Ashley. I'm going to digress from my little planned chat here for a sec, even though it's all connected as usual. As we're reconnecting with our soul, okay, what will happen is we'll have new awarenesses or we'll have new experiences in our lives that will cause us to question our path. We might question whether we really have a soul, going deep there for that one. We might question that. We might question our abilities to live from that perspective. So where we might feel like we're backtracking, we are not. What's happening is our vibrational energy is catching up to our soul. We have new perspectives we have to integrate within our lives. New perspectives, I can't say that word right now. I'm talking too fast in my head. New perspectives we have to embrace in our soul and our heart level. So where we feel like we're off track, maybe, we're actually not. And one thing I have learned in the last 20 whatever years is that the more frequently, the more off I feel, where I don't feel balanced, or I feel like it's not working out, or I'm frustrated with how my life is, I know that means invariably I'm going to be moving to a new place very shortly. So if you feel badly about something, or you just feel like you're off track or whatever, just know that means you're almost to the part where you're going to be back to yourself again, and you'll be back living in your soul's light. And invariably, when we've gone through things like this, our vibration does increase and raise. Okay, so that, for anybody else who may be experiencing that, Leanne is saying, I've been chasing my calling for so long. When I finally realized it was just to be uniquely me, there was such a weight lifted. Right? I saw this, a review on somebody's book the other day. And this person wrote that she had been looking for her purpose for over 30 years, had been looking for her purpose. And she was upset because this book that she had read did not lay it clearly out for her so she could find her purpose. She made a couple comments from the book, what the book had said, and I looked at them and I said, yes, that will help you find your purpose. But this woman couldn't see it because I believe, my feeling on this, I believe she thought her purpose had to be something more externally focused, rather than recognizing that our purpose is actually internally focused. We have that calling to find out who we are, who our unique selves are. We have that calling maybe to be of service to others. Whatever it is, it's an inner purpose. It may manifest as an outer purpose, but our inner purpose is the biggest priority. Nicole is saying she feels strength, abundance, truth of just being. When she thinks about her soul, that's what she feels. Yes, think about this. So as we do this, and think about this from your perspective. Now, although our soul is connected to the divine and each other, right? So our souls, our energies are all connected. We are part of that oneness we've talked about in the past. We are an individual expression of our soul. So what I might feel is my soul's truth may not be your soul's truth. And actually, when I think about that, isn't that kind of cool? That's pretty cool because we are unique and our soul's expression is meant to reflect that. So where I feel a certain thing when I think about being in my soul's energy, you may feel something different. And that's exactly the way it's supposed to be because you are supposed to be expressing your soul in your unique way. So the first thing when we think about this, we want to physically, how do we physically embody our soul's love and light? What does that feel like for you? So the first thing is to think and feel into what the soul means to you. What does it mean to you? Then you can start to understand how you are at your soul level. Be curious. Now, if that inner critic pops up, set it aside and use your soul power to say, not now, I'm busy reconnecting to my soul, and give it a little attitude, like, no, not now, do not bother me, girl, out, go. Give it some attitude, get rid of it. The next thing, so the first one is to think about what the soul is to you. Feeling meaning, what is it? What would it look like if you were living that way? The second thing to do, and this is really fun, is to look for moments when you're in your soul's power. So I know somebody just went out there. What? How do I do that? What do you mean? What are you talking about? So here are some things to look for. Okay. You're in the zone. You know what it's like when you're in the zone? You're immersed in a project. You're doing something that has your full attention and you're enjoying it. That's being in your soul's power. You're in the zone. Okay. You're creative. Sometimes when I'm playing my violin, in a concert or practicing even, I'm totally in a different place. I'm not really aware of my surroundings. If I'm painting something, same thing. I just kind of go, whoo, and I'm right in there. Okay, that's in the zone. So when you're in your zone, you're in the soul's power. Something else to look for. You're happy. You're content. You're satisfied. You're connected. You're inspired. You're feeling creative. You feel like things are going well. You find some moments of joy. That's being in your soul's power as well. Something else to look for. You're genuinely connected to other people. It could be family, friends. It could be a random person you talk to in the grocery store. I had that experience yesterday. Very interesting conversation, I must say, that went on for a good 15 minutes. But you know how sometimes people will just talk to you, and there's a reason for that. But you get this feeling of connection to somebody else. You feel like, I understand them. I want to validate their comments to me. I want them to understand that I hear them. That's when you're in the zone of your soul's power. Another way you're in the soul's power is when you are connected to nature, animals, pets. You're in that feeling of unconditional love. As you're thinking about this, feel free to write some in the comments because I would love to hear what you think, what you feel could be some moments when you're in your soul's power. I would love to hear what you've got too, because there are so many different ways. Another way where it's something you can look for so you can start to see your soul's power at work, if you will, is when you feel gratitude and appreciation. Maybe you express your gratitude to others for their kindness, for their help, for their inspiration, whatever it is. So you have this gratitude, appreciation. I was thanking somebody the other day for something, and I don't remember what it was because it was so minor, but in the big scheme of life. But for some reason, I felt like I really wanted to let them know, thank you so much for helping me with this. I really appreciate your time and your effort. And they were actually kind of taken aback by it because apparently people don't thank them very much. I think, people complain a lot if you're out and about, stores, restaurants, wherever. And so when you really express that true connection and you express that gratitude and appreciation, you're in your soul's power, which helps the other person also start to recognize, oh, look at, there are nice people out there, number one, but also it kind of gives them a feeling that maybe they can do that as well. Another way you might recognize that you're in your soul's power is that you might feel more spiritual. You might have a greater sense of spirituality there. Um, you might look at events, circumstances, or situations and start to see a spiritual meaning within it. You start to recognize that everything that's happening in your life, your circumstances, everything, the good, the bad, the mediocre, everything is there because it's leading you to your soul's expression. Everything is there. So when you're in your power, your soul's power, you might start to feel that spirituality. You might start to feel that connection. And you'll start to recognize that everything is there to help you. I can tell you on a personal level, knowing that when I have something that's crappy or I'm having an off day or whatever's going on, in the back of my mind, I know that it's helping me in some way. Now, again, I'm going to repeat this because I say this in every show. You must always acknowledge your emotions. If you're feeling crappy, acknowledge them, feel them. Don't set them aside. Don't bypass them. Don't skip them. So feel the emotions. So if you feel it, be upset if you have to, but then start to process it and recognize how could it be helping you get to your soul's expression. Along with this is you might have for your soul's power, you might have more intuitive hits. You might have more premonitions, more inner knowings. What this is your soul speaking to you. Amazing, just amazing. So when you start to look for those moments when you're in your soul's power, you're strengthening your connection to the soul. And there are so many more signs, not just this. Candace saying the aha moment when a student gets it. There's lots of ways that you are in your soul's power. So start looking for those. What will happen is you'll start to see how you're already living from your soul in certain moments, certain times, certain situations. You're already there. So then what we want to do is use that power of attraction to bring more of it to you. We want to feel that energy that's connected to it. The energy amplifies the intentions, of course. And remember always that you are connected to that limitless abundance, right? So what you want to do is intentionally choose to move into the soul's power and create more of those things that go with the truth of your soul. Your soul's power will also help you let go of the layers of false beliefs that have kept you stuck feeling not good enough. So the more you look for what your soul means to you, the more you choose to move into that power, the more you acknowledge how you're already living in your soul's power, it will be easier to let go of those layers. You'll figure out how to do it. You may come across a book that has a strategy in it that you go, whoa, this is really powerful for me. One thing I heard once about, I don't even know how many years ago now, 15, whatever years ago, was that there are no problems, only opportunities. I heard that phrase and I thought, how does that work? And I realized then that the problems were in actuality opportunities for me to reclaim myself, to reclaim my power, to take my power back, to learn something about myself. So you may come across something like that that inspires you to look at something differently. And that's because you're in your soul's power. There is nothing wrong with you. There never has been anything wrong with you. Society, culture, programming, conditioning, false beliefs, all this stuff has made you feel like there's something wrong with you. It's all wrong. Now, sure, of course, you've made mistakes or you've taken a wrong turn. We've all done this. But that doesn't make you a bad person, and it doesn't make you wrong. From the soul's perspective, everything in your life is to help you return to your soul. Every single thing. So even your wrong turns are really right. Even your mistakes are really right because they've led you to where you are now. And if you keep learning and growing, they're going to lead you to who you are already at your soul level. Denise is saying, I feel happy and content when I am nature. I feel connected and do not want to leave. Being grateful makes me feel connected too. There's so many different ways we can be in our soul power. There's a certain feeling, and the more open you are to it, and I'm not saying you're not open now, but the more open you are to it, the more the universe says, hey, okay, look at it. They're ready now. Let's bring them some more opportunities. Let's bring them more things where they can really feel it. Because I do know that when I am in my soul's power, I feel it's like I'm channeling, and I'm a medium, so of course I channel that way too. But also if I'm writing something, like even doing this radio show, when I sat there and I thought, I had lots of ideas of things I wanted to talk to you about. I have a folder that is like an inch thick right now of various ideas. And I go through there a little bit, and I had so many I thought were good, and I didn't know what to do. And that's when I was like, okay, tell me what's most needed right now. And I know I've talked to quite a few people on the more recent side who are really struggling right now and not feeling good enough and feeling like there is something wrong with them. And truly, they're believing it to their core. So if we can allow this energy to come through, and when I was bringing the information through that I wanted to share with you, I felt like I was in my soul's power. I was bringing through information that was important to you, and you can do the same things. I am not special. We can all do this. We can all channel this soul's power. And as each one of us does this and raises our vibration and recognizes the power we have, we are only going to spread more joy to everyone else, along with the joy to ourselves, of course. And we're going to be helping other people on their path, whether it's your purpose or not. It's just the way it is. So one of your purposes, well, most of our purposes, is that inner purpose of reconnecting to your soul to reclaim the power and truth. Now, it's simple in that you have to make a decision. Are you ready to live from the soul's truth? Are you ready? Do you want to? Are you ready to let go of the false beliefs that have piled up around you that aren't your fault? They just come. Are you ready to let go of them? And all those things that tell you you're not good enough. And then if you think you're ready to let go of them, are you willing to do whatever it takes to return to your soul's truth? It's really just a simple question. Do you want to? That's what it is. Do you want to do it? Do you want to have more joy? Do you want to live from that feeling? It's indescribable, that feeling. But the more you start seeing how you're doing it already and you add more to it, some of your problems are just going to kind of fade away, and you'll recognize that they really aren't important in the big scheme of life. And I know I sound like a little bit like a preacher today, don't I? Are y'all ready? Join me on this journey. But really, it's an adventure. It really is an adventure. So if you start to get a little bit, like right now, you're like, yes, I want to do it. I want to do it. Just remember, it's already there. Okay? It's not like you've got to go, I don't know what, jump off a cliff and then I don't even know what would be really hard. Anything really hard. It's not really hard. You just have to stay focused and keep making the choice over and over. And I can guarantee you that if you do this, that you will be living the most amazing life. And part of the reason that I'd love to share these ideas with you, do you know I've been doing radio shows for like 6 years? In January, it'll been 6 years. I have been sharing ideas for 6 years, hundreds of shows, sharing these ideas. The big point of my doing it is to kind of make a shortcut for you so it doesn't take you 20 years to get to your happiest life. Wouldn't it be nice if you could get there sooner, that you don't have to wait 20 years to do it? So these little tidbits, these little bits of information, the information that's in my book, which is basically a guidebook to help you become your happiest self and your most authentic self, all of this information can get you there faster. But I can't do it all, right? I mean, it's like we talked about with the law of attraction earlier. People think if they just wish it, it's going to happen. You have to take some action. You have to make a choice. You have to say to yourself, you know what? I really do want to do this, and I'm going to do it because I deserve it. I deserve to have the happiest life. I deserve to be myself. And basically, anybody who doesn't believe in you, push them aside too. I'm not saying get rid of them if you can't, your life and stuff, but don't take their opinions to heart. Okay, so be you as best you can. So take what makes sense and do something with it. Okay, that is my topic of today. So, what else do I have to tell you? I don't think anything else. You can find out more from me, ColleenVanderzijden.com. I'll be on Willa's show tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock in the morning. We're going to talk about saying no, a big one. If you're around Sunday morning, I'll be speaking at the Lilydale Spiritualist Church at 10:30 in the morning. A little busy week for me. I'm going to be doing that. My book will be out in a few weeks. Definitely, please like my page, Colleen Vanderzijden, Medium Intuitive Life Coach. I know I've invited a lot of people, but sometimes people, kind of put their invites to the side because I know that's what I do. And then I go back later and check them. So you may have been invited, but maybe you never liked my page. So it would be awesome if you did. And follow Lilydale Assembly Incorporated as well on Facebook. I hope you guys have the most wonderful week. Wait, there's a comment here. You'd think we'd be a bit quicker on the uptake then, wouldn't you? Because you've done the hard part. I think Jan is talking about all the steps I've given you. If anybody ever went through all of my shows, you'd know everything I know. Maybe. So yes, I know I did. I did do the hard part. It's taken me a long time to get this book out for you. And really it is to help you because I want to make a shortcut for you so it doesn't take you 20 years. So there you go. So anyway, you guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. It was really fun talking to you and sharing this idea that Spirit provided for us. And you guys have a wonderful week. And I will see you next week. Bye.